And good morning. It is a SkeetNet special. And we've got Derek Flint live in Lancashire.
Hello.
And Michael Josem in Douglas, just on the quay there.
Good morning, Jed.
Well, we've been on the edge of our seats. Or have we? What a performance that was. Michael, you're shaking your head. What's your take on it?
I think my shaking my head is basically my take on it. It is so disappointing. It is sad. It's frustrating, and I'm sure there will be many people across the Isle of Man who will be in despair this morning and disappointment. And I guess I have a simple message: if you are in a tough time, then there is a lot of community who are alongside you, who are here to help. Reach out, pick up the phone, have a chat to someone and let them know how you feel, because this is a difficult time for many people. I'm sure many people will be disappointed, and it's just frustrating.
Derek, you're over in Lancashire. You've viewed it. You must have a take on this, because surely the signs were showing last week.
I think the signs were clearly there. Friday, there was clearly something amiss. There was something not right. And I mean, I just compare it to the Auckland situation. 2 cases, lockdown. Let's not mess about. Let's find out what we've got. Put the brakes on things for the weekend. I don't subscribe, for a start, to this thing about, well, it takes time to draft legislation. If that's the case, then the underpinning legislation is clearly fundamentally flawed. Comyn should be able to act at the drop of a hat to get things into a lockdown within a matter of hours, if necessary. I think what we're now starting to see is the unravelling. Everything from maybe last April has been good luck rather than good judgment. And it's a big wake-up call for the public now. Certainly what I'm picking up on social media is that people are absolutely apoplectic with rage about this, because the way it's mishandled. There's a great thing that's coming up. I don't know if you've seen it. The Anton Deck thing they do, where they're talking to somebody to tell them what to say. And it's a picture of Howard and those two, and then people are sort of saying, well, right, tell them to go to work, and then whilst they're at work, tell them that they can't go to work, and stuff like that. It's all over the place. There needs to be a rapidly realignment and for them to get on top of this, because another 3 weeks is the last thing you guys need over there when things are really starting to improve over here in the UK. Well, it's embarrassing.
Anton Deck are known for their comedy, but there's nothing funny about this, Michael, is there?
No.
It is very sad, and it's, I guess that fundamentally, if we think back over the last 12 months, the first lockdown was understandable and indeed quite supportable, in the sense that it was, it was a new pandemic. We didn't know what we were dealing with. The second lockdown was probably avoidable if we got ahead of the game, and then to now have a third one, well, it's just sheer incompetence, and it is disappointing. It's frustrating that human beings are not meant to live in this wildly swinging back and forth, state of affairs, and it makes me sad. And I think we should probably go replay what we said here on this video thing on Friday, when we said it should not just be a binary, hey, everyone's under lockdown or everyone's under house arrest, versus everyone go out and lick lampposts or whatever the government envisages we do. And there's got to be some degree of middle ground where we can minimise the costs, because the costs are big. The costs are on mental health, the costs are on jobs, the costs are on physical health, the costs are on education, the costs are on businesses, the costs are on livelihoods. And there is of course a value to having a lockdown. That does probably, in some parts of it, probably do reduce the spread of the disease. But let's try and have, do the things that have the least cost, such as wearing masks, such as wearing, social distancing, before we go and take the more extreme actions.
I think today's events and the press conference this morning just exposed that the government is well and truly on the back foot. And this kind of swell started at the weekend with this flip-flopping on Saturday, where here we are now. We knew this was coming. And just think about the tone of the questions by the press in the conference this morning. It was almost like a wave of public opinion that was just being articulated by. I think even Business 365 was in for the early tackle.
You know you're in for a rough day when you've lost even Business 365.
But
isn't that long overdue though? Isn't that long overdue? Because the first lockdown, the press conferences, it was like a cozy cocktail party. Everybody was in bed together. We had Jeff the Mongoose sort of courting and a bit, a bit of amusement with regard to Howard o'clock and this, that, and the other. Finally, we're seeing some incisive, visceral journalism and actually trying to hold the government to account. And it's been long overdue. I think they're in for a very, very rough ride from here on, because this has really sort of knocked the foundations of the whole setup.
Well, Michael, if I can just ask, it's happening on your doorstep on South Quay. You've got this great big boat going in and out all day, and I don't know whether you picked up on it. There was a little bit of a diversion created because one of the journalists asked, look, is this all going to be traceable back to the steam packet cluster that's been brewing for a fortnight? And it was like swiftly, look the other way. Is this going to be the story? Is it going to be about the management of the steam packet and the crew, and then we look at how other people have been treated? There are folk that have gone to prison. I was speaking to someone who's connected with law enforcement the other day, and they said, yeah, fair enough. There's been a few people who went up to the big house in Derby. They had chances, but they failed, and really they deserve to go to, choking. But there's one or two cases where it was just a little bit of a lapse, an oversight, whatever, and people ended up in jail. And now we've got this huge issue that has been like a domino effect, and the outcomes are going to be far more serious than these little peccadillos, weeks or months or even last year.
Yeah, I think you're right in that the Chief Minister made the very reasonable point. You shouldn't really send people to prison for a simple misunderstanding on Sunday, and I can understand that. But but then again, last year his government locked up people and prosecuted people who, one woman who was fleeing from a drunken domestic disturbance to go to a homeless shelter, and that's not a malicious act. And similarly, there was another woman who was arrested and prosecuted because she was driving from the boat, drove back to Ramsey, stopped off for petrol and Laxey along the way, and she was identified and detected because she told the shop attendant that she'd just got off the boat. Now, someone who is knowingly and deliberately breaking a rule does not confess themselves out of the blue to the shop attendant. Like that's obviously doesn't make sense, right? And so it is very frustrating that we have this inconsistent reasoning for the laws, and in fact, the whole thing all on Sunday through to now today, Tuesday morning, has been very inconsistent. On Sunday, the Chief Minister promised, he made a commitment that if the situation changes with schools, he would and let me quote, if the situation changes, then we will of course instantly advise the people. And that's what he said not even 48 hours ago, on Sunday afternoon. What was that, like 42 hours ago? He said we would instantly advise the people. And then now it comes to light that they made a decision yesterday, being Monday, and then kept it a secret until after the children had been sent to school. Like, this guy, it's not even consistent for 48 hours straight. And I can understand that in a quickly moving situation that the information changes, but nothing in that has changed. The Chief Minister on Sunday, he promised, he committed, that he said we will of course instantly advise the people. He was tested literally 24 hours later and made a decision on Monday afternoon, and then he kept that a secret until after the children have gone to school on Tuesday morning.
And the thing is, he hadn't even told members of the House. This has all been kept within the Comyn bubble again. Laurie Hooper was on saying, listen, I'm shooting from the hip here because you know as much as I do. That cannot be acceptable. This continued almost Politburo type approach that Comyn is now taking and not sharing it with the rest of the members. I don't know where the backlash is going to happen and how it's going to happen, but it's got to come soon. It's beyond the pale now in terms of the way that people are being treated, not just the members of public, but those members of the House as well. Is there any indication exactly how bad this is? Because I'm not picking up in the stuff that I've read of any actual sort of figures and exactly how bad this has now got. Is there any clarity on that at all?
I didn't pick anything up in the presser about that. I think there is a hospitalisation involved, but Michael, who knows? Well, who knows? Can you trust the data, Michael? I don't know anymore.
Well, I've no reason to think that the Isle of Man government is telling us anything that is untrue or deliberately untrue. And so I understand that there are between 40 and 50 cases in this broader cluster. I will get the exact number for you in a few moments. And in fact, actually, here we are. As of 19 hours ago, so this is as of yesterday afternoon, the government says that there were active 50 active cases on the Isle of Man, plus however many unknown other cases. So I think we can now say there are now at least 50 cases on the Isle of Man, and I hope every single one of those people recovers. Especially that man or that woman in the hospital, because it would be so tragic to each infected person. They're literally, rolling the dice, figuratively rolling the dice with people's lives here, and it is so sad for each one because it's a serious matter, right? These are people's lives are hanging in the balance.
And precisely, we just had a chat there before, Derek, about the emergency legislation, and that was mentioned in the presser before that there wasn't enough time to initiate the process. And I'm thinking, hang on, surely I'm not saying that it's as basic as a cut and paste scenario, but there's been 2 lockdowns previously. So how hard was it just to rubber stamp, this is the action, this is the way forward, especially when we had this weird situation on a Saturday that I know hit the licensing trade, hit the service trade right across the island. People didn't know what to do. They were put in a guilty position, whereas it was quite simple. When you look at what the outcome is today, well, surely they could see this coming.
I think you're entirely right there, Jed. And as the name suggests, emergency legislation should be able to be activated in an emergency.
Yeah. There's something far wrong with it. It'd be interesting in looking at what Peter Edge's take on all this is, because he normally manages to sort of drill down what they can and can't do with his expert opinion. I don't know. It's getting to that sort of schoolboy football again. I'm disappointed for everybody back on the island. I'm sorry it's come to this for you. We're doing all right over here. The police are on top of the breaches as they arrive. People are generally taking care. Numbers are on the way down. Vaccination program is well underway. It would be an abject tragedy if the Isle of Man is sort of sat there as a colony of pestilence, whilst the rest of the UK is starting to break out the other side of it. I really hope that it gets sorted really, really quickly, and that this outbreak isn't as huge as it has the potential to be.
Well, there's some serious work to be done in re-inspiring confidence. There's no doubt about it, because the pitchfork brigade will be out in force, bashing their keyboards with anger. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I think you will have spotted it over the last 24 hours that the social media temperature has just gone through the roof when it is based in all this uncertainty. People have lost trust, they've lost faith. There's all kinds of rumours. They're saying, we had the misnomer at the weekend because someone had an important birthday party. What kind of rumour is that to be, shed across the island? You go into the local butcher, he's got a view on it. It's just this lack of communication and clarity. And Michael, I know you just want to see it up front. There it is on a plate. This is what's happening. This is where we are.
Exactly right, Jed. And I think that there are rumours that spread throughout the Isle of Man, perhaps sometimes quicker than the virus itself. But what I think the best antidote to these sort of fake news and rumours is the true news and true information. So when the government makes a decision on Monday evening, announce it on Monday evening. If you've decided yesterday that we're going to go into lockdown, announce it yesterday. Treat us as adults. The people of the Isle of Man recognise that this pandemic is tough. No one has ever been criticised for being too open and too transparent. And I think that, as we spoke about in our podcast last year, there is a recurring phenomenon here of elite panic, and that is that the so-called experts think that they're the only people who can make the right risk judgments, when obviously they failed in that regard, but that they try and massage the information or try and keep it under control so that the public doesn't panic. The public have been consistently pretty decent throughout this whole situation. And so the answer here is just to be open and honest, treat the people of the Isle of Man as citizens, and recognise that they're your boss. You don't keep secrets from your boss, and you shouldn't keep secrets from the people of the Isle of Man, as the government has done over the last 24 hours again.
I tell you what, I mean, the likes of the Dr. Glover scenario that's dragged on and on and on. And again, that name was thrown into the pot at the presser. And there was some very skillful deflection. There's a bit of science talk. You've got some informed people who are just trying to make you look the other way. And then on the other side of things, we've got Dr. Glover, who will say that she's offering a service that would help to identify, eradicate the disease on the Isle of Man. Now, for me, I don't quite get it. I don't understand. Is she able to take samples that could somehow link the trail to one particular place, or what? Derek, have you got an understanding of it?
Well, according to Dr. Henrietta, genomics doesn't help. But I think what is being missed there is that Rachel didn't start the island's processes on the genomic side of things. It was the testing side of things. She got the testing lab up and going. So, as well as the capacity at Nobles, there's clearly capacity within her labs as well. I mean, she's actually off in the UK on a shooting competition at the moment, so she's not going to add much to it for the next few weeks. But the offer was there. It's extra capacity, so it's really a case of, like I say, it's just that cussedness of Comyn that has not actually sort of gone with an olive branch and said, listen, Rachel, let's put our differences aside, let's just get on with this and use the capacity. Thanks very much indeed. That's the grown approach, but it's this petulant approach that Comyn tend to take with these things. And if you do upset anybody within government, you can forget about it. You're not going to get back into the family. You're not going to get the benefit of your services being taken up on. So I think we just have to put that behind us and look at it as an opportunity missed.
Now, Michael, I've got a question for you. What is the likelihood of a vote of no confidence being thrown in the House?
I think you'd have to ask the members of the House of Keys for that. I'm not one of them, so who knows? I think that, that said, the general election is only a few months away, and it is my very firm views that the public should have their say, and rather than these politicians doing so. So
okay.
Come September, I guess.
Okay, but you mentioned that there's a general election coming up, and there's going to be a lot of House of Keys members who'll be looking at making a return. So this is the point, is it? Where did you just sit along by and watch this circus, continue, or did you make a stand? And I think this is going to be an important factor for many. Are there MHKs out there who are bold enough to say overtly, loudly? I know, like Laurie was, on Twitter this morning, and it's commendable that he comes out with that. And I think June Watterson today did quite a tactical bit of media this morning. He alluded to what was going to happen, and he has been hovering around in the background. But surely this is an opportunity for prospective MHKs who want to be re-elected to really take a stand. Is that right, Derek?
It could be, but it's whether or not the Constitution is brave enough to take that on. I was watching the episode of The Crown last night, where a group of the captains of industry and bankers approached Louis Mountbatten to effectively leverage a coup. And we often joked back in the day about holding a coup on the Isle of Man and phoning up the palace and say we've taken over taken over the radio station and put Stu Peters in as a benevolent dictator. I don't know. I still think there's a huge degree of apathy that sits amongst the Manx public with regard to politics and the importance of being involved in politics for the future of the island. Maybe this might be the wake-up call, the dig in the ribs that they've been needing. But we shall wait and see, because this will be forgotten in 3 weeks. If they nail it, it'll all be banners and more bunting up and everything, and trebles all round in the gentleman's club. And everyone will just forget about it, which is just the nature of life on the Isle of Man.
You speak to some of the licensees and those people who are involved in the trade. They've got a huge audience, to preach to, and they are not happy at the moment. Many of those are on your doorstep, Michael, as you know, and we've probably got some mutual friends and acquaintances. Those people are suffering.
Yeah, there's a lot of businesses that are doing it tough. And so that's why I guess one little bright spark here to congratulate the government, because I'm conscious that we shouldn't be too negative too much. Some breaking news, an exclusive here to Skeetneck, not yet reported on the other media outlets, is that the Mira allowance is going to be increased from £200 to £230, and the salary support scheme will be increased from £310 to from £280 to £310 a week. So that's breaking news coming to you live on Skeetneck before the mainstream media outlets get it. Some breaking news out of the government there, which is good to see that they're increasing that support, because there are a lot of people doing it tough.
And that is much needed. This has been a tough start to the year. January was wiped out, really, most of February, and now we're going to be, kissing Easter. And really, by that time, everything should be up and running. So, grateful for the assistance, but is it enough? It'd be good to catch up with the likes of Andy Saunders from Quids In, who I know is a viewer of this, and maybe others from the trade, but I don't know. I think there's more to come. I think there's a lot of mileage, Derek, in this. I think this could be the tipping point for this whole saga.
Yeah, we've seen this before, though, and the problem is, bar the three of us, we're actually actively commentating on the political landscape. I mean, we're starting to see the green shoots of it now with Manx journalism, but it's all been a very cosy club, because people know that if you stick your head above the parapet, you're going to get it shot off. You are going to be ostracised and marginalised. And if you rely on business through government or any sort of government support, or getting anything done through government, are you really going to want to take them on? They effectively and successfully suppress any negative ill will through that process. So we'll just have to wait and see if anybody else starts to do little things like this, or perhaps wants to come on and speak to us on one of our Friday morning sessions and add their bit to the mix, because there's a discussion to be had, a conversation to be had, without a doubt.
Crikey, Derek, I think me and Michael are going to have Novichok smeared all over our doorknobs. On the back.
I tell you what, I've received nothing but there's a lot of people, I think, who have been very complimentary and contradictory and whatnot, but I think what we really just need is the truth, and so that's the most important thing. And unfortunately, some people see their role as cheerleaders or to be cheer opponents, and when really what you just need to be is a fair referee to tell the truth, and I think that's what's really important here. If the ball is out of play, if they make a bad decision, then call them on that. If they do a good thing, then call them on that. Like we've done in this very conversation. So we congratulate the government when they do good things, such as increasing the support for unemployed people during MIRA and the salary support scheme, and we criticise them when they do bad things. And that's all that I think our mission should be, is to simply tell the truth. And I hope that more and more people throughout the island see that as their duty as well. Rather than just being cheerleaders or cheer opponents, as the case may be.
And I think on that note, we've done 25 minutes, guys, which is enough. I think there'll be plenty to occupy us between now and our next get-together. And likewise, if you've got any comments, please put them in the box, or if you'd like to take part in one of these sessions, please get in touch. But for the moment, I think we've got things to do, so we'll bid you farewell, boys.
Yeah, good luck and stay safe.
Time to all get changed into our tracksuit pants and comfy clothes for sitting around the house for the next 3 weeks.
Welcome to my world.
Okay, adios. Bye bye.
Bye bye.